Sounds like it. Yeah. Are we at Disneyland? It sounds just like the guy.
Just let it go, the whole panel. As far as I know,
Yeah.
this is the only panel room at PAX that plays the funky music and has the official voice telling you to sit down. And I'm a big fan of it. How are you guys? Are you having a good PAX East, Boston? You're gonna have to be louder than that. They're drowning you out with funky beats. Are you having a good PAX East? Who likes Lara Croft? Then, ladies and gentlemen, we have a hell of a panel for you today. Of course, you're here for Lara Croft, the Undisputed Queen of Gaming. I'm Greg Miller, but I want you to first off give a round of applause for Square Enix. For the folks in the room, each of you have sat down to find a season pass card for all the DLC for Lara Croft's latest adventure, which is exciting amongst itself, but 3 of you have special cards with an email address on the back. Now you all bust them out. Oh, you thought it was nothing to begin with, right? Well, the 3 prizes that you will be up for when you email on this thing are Tomb Raider Ultimate Fan Kit, exciting. Tomb Raider goodies, am I right?
Yes.
The other, every Tomb Raider game ever on Steam. And then, something I legitimately have never seen someone do. One of you will get Square Enix games for life. From here on out, every game you want that they publish. You can get them on Steam, you can get them on Xbox, you can get them on PlayStation if you want trophies.
Who has them? I want to see. Who's got one?
I know, why did I get a card?
Like, no, don't tell anyone.
Yeah, no, they want to make it safely to their room. One of them's up in the back. There it is. Congratulations,
Awesome.
sir. Now everybody maintain. He's playing the smart game, rummaging through all the other cards. I like where his head's at. So thank you all for coming out. Like I said, I'm Greg, but that doesn't matter. Here are all of your Lara Croft experts. I want to go one by one, have them introduce themselves before they get into their whole segment.
You are now.
Miss Meagan Marie.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm excellent. Nobody ever
I beat
asked
you
me.
to the punch.
Thank you. No, good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. It's super exciting to be here and to get to talk about probably my favorite subject matter on the planet, which is Tomb Raider.
If for some reason, which would be crazy, people don't know who you are, what's your elevator pitch for why you're on the panel?
I'm the senior community manager for Crystal Dynamics and a longtime Tomb Raider fan since I was 12, so this is like, it's my jam.
Yeah, I was going to say, how many longtime Tomb Raider fans are here? Yeah. Nathan McCree.
Hello.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
You know, I went through the list of people I should invite. You were right there, because I love the accent. Just say my name a few times.
Greg.
Oh, Nathan! Let me get my hotel room key. No, it's okay. Nathan, for everyone who doesn't know you, why are you on this panel?
I am the composer of the original Tomb Raider soundtracks, Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3.
But Nathan, you can't be a day over 28.
I don't know about that.
You're a prodigy composer.
Miss Alexa Ray, Korea, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. You work for GameSpot.
I do work for GameSpot.
It's a good site. One person clapped. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a panel that you are as much a part of the panel as you need to clap, you need to boo, you need to go crazy. So don't worry about it. Be part. Don't shout out sentences because then it's weird because I don't hear them all. But have fun. Alexa, what's your connection to Tomb Raider? Why are you on this panel?
Lara Croft taught me that you can be strong and sexy at the same time, and I owe a big part of my identity to her.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear more about that. Jason Botta, how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
That's really loud.
But accept it, embrace it, lean into it. It's their job to fix it, not yours. You don't worry about it.
Okay.
Are you worried about it?
A little.
Stop worrying about it. Jason, what's your real job? Why are you on the panel?
Most recently, I was design director on Rise of the Tomb Raider, but I've worked on Tomb Raider for the last 10 years.
Do you know Nicole Tam?
I do know Nicole Tan.
I'm a big fan.
We all cheered.
Yeah.
I was like, are Nicole Tam?
And then, Mr. Cam Yu, how are you?
Very good, thanks.
What is your connection? Why are you on this panel?
I'm on Rise of the Tomb Raider. I was the lead character artist, and I've been working on every Lara since Tomb Raider 7.
Damn! That is a lineage! What has kept you around? Why do you want to work on this franchise for so long? What's kept you around with it?
Oh, it's just a fantastic franchise. I love working on it. It offers like adventure and excitement. It's great and always keeps me interested.
Okay. Megan,
Yes.
I want you to kick us off.
All right.
We're here, Lara Croft, Undisputed Queen of Gaming. That's the title. You all fell for it. You came in because of it. What does that mean to you?
Well, I can give you a lot of reasons that Lara is the undisputed queen of gaming. Can we get the panel to pull up the presentation here?
Guys, this
I'll
is
show you
this
guys
is
some
Bush
stuff.
League PAX stuff.
Yes. So these are some of my favorite examples of why Lara is the undisputed queen of gaming. I'm just going to go through a couple of the cultural touchstones that she's been a part of over the last 20 years. So in 1996, there's a footballer named David James in the UK, and I'm sure he hates that this follows him around to this day. But he had a real rough game in 1996, and they let a bunch of goals through and so on. And he told a member of the press that it's because he was up playing this new game called Tomb Raider. And the next day, there were headlines reading, "James goes from tomb to doom." And so this was like the first time that Lara was in the headlines, and it was showing how much of an impact she had on outside of even, just like the gaming culture, like everybody was embracing her. 1997, Leroy Thornhill from The Prodigy, he said that the Fat of the Land, their album was delayed because everybody kept telling their producers that they were working on the album, and really they were playing Tomb Raider together. The 1997, the cover of The Face, a lot of people associated with the franchise say that this is the first time that Lara really became larger than life, larger than Tomb Raider, sort of, transcended the Tomb Raider itself. This was a British fashion magazine, and Lara was the first digital star to be on it. And inside, she had outfits designed by Gucci and Alexander McQueen. So this was like, they took it very seriously as her as like this virtual model. In 1998, Tomb Raider 1 and 2 was given Millennium Product status by the British Design Council. It was inducted by Prime Minister Tony Blair at the time. In 1999, Croft was named an ambassador of British scientific excellence. And there was a whole bunch of stuff between there, but some of the more modern ones. In 2010, she got 6 records in the Guinness Book of World Records, including most successful video game heroine, most recognizable female character, best, highest grossing computer game spinoff when it comes to movies. Entertainment Weekly named her one of the 100 greatest characters of the last 20 years. She came in at number 17 of like 100 greatest characters. It's pretty cool. This is one that I actually like even more. Time magazine she was on the list of 100 most influential people who never lived. She was the only video game character, and she was there along the lines of people like Don Quixote and Sherlock Holmes, Captain Kirk, Romeo and Juliet. So if you think of like the entirety of fiction, she made that list. That's incredible. So that's the sort of stuff. Oh, and there's also Lara Croft Way and Derby. I've been calling it Derby forever, and now I have someone who's from there, and then now I've been corrected, Derby. So she had a road named after her in her hometown, was in the Smithsonian Art of Video Games exhibit, the same thing for Victoria Albert Museum in the UK. So there's this huge lineage of her and Tomb Raider, influencing outside of the gaming realm, and everybody knows her. And because of that, there's been all this great parody throughout the years. I love this stuff. So we've got Looney Tunes, we've got Mad Magazine, we've got Storeroom Raider, that's one of my favorite, Robot Chicken. I love anyone like the Spice Girls? I love the Spice Girls. So the Spice Girls movie.
If you don't like the Spice Girls, the door is right there.
That was one of the first games I bought with my own money, and the clerk thought I was joking as a kid. I was like, no, I really want it. Anyway, so the Spice Girls movie, they were playing Tomb Raider in their giant van, which was great. They're tour bus. So that kind of stuff is just so cool to see. And there's even been homages in Ally McBeal. There's a K-pop band called AOA, and they had Lara Croft in it at one point in time. And it just continues along like those lines. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that she was very marketable. So she was someone who, could be used to promote brands and so on. So on the left, we've got the Visa commercials. We have the Lucozade, which they renamed it Larazaid. She did this series for G4 where they had the Angel of Darkness paired with like live action person who's interviewing her, and she's talking about her early life and how someone used to tease her as a kid and so on. Just really unique campaigns. And I love these ones. How many of you guys know that Lara released an album, 2 albums? albums. I'm not joking. So the ones on the top left are Rona Mitra. She was one of the original Lara Croft models. And she released an album with one of the producers of the Eurythmics. And she released it as Lara. So it was Lara Croft was the artist on there. Yeah, Dave Stewart.
Dave Stewart.
Yep. And then other things on there like the bottom image with the big golden arches from U2's Pop Mart tour. And they called and said, we want to have Lara as part of our Pop Mart tour, which was one of the biggest tours ever at that time. And she was on this huge jumbo stage and they made custom footage for her. And when U2 comes and says, we want Lara to be a part of our show, I mean, that means something because that show is entirely about pop culture and the influence of pop culture. So that's a kind of the really condensed version of what an impact Lara has had over the year and what an impact Tomb Raider has had over the year. And that's not even half of it. That's just scratching the surface. So I feel like that's why we're comfortable saying that she's the undisputed queen of gaming.
Are you comfortable hearing that, audience? By applause, how many people owned the Lara Croft album she put out?
Not many of you, because it's really hard to find.
I said by applause, and you raise your hand.
Yeah. It was really hard to find them because they only released them, I think, in like Germany, France, and limited run in the UK.
I've got one.
It took me forever. I had to track them down.
So then, Nathan, going through all that, most influential people who didn't live, all these different things that are on there, what does that feel like for you as somebody who played such a key part in it? I mean, you were there in the beginning. You composed these games. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if everybody's happy I've dug up these photos.
Maybe you are a bit older than 28. I didn't.
I look a lot younger there.
So, I mean, what is it like, I guess, right now to be... I mean, when you were working on it, did you think that this was going to become this?
No, none of us really knew that at all. For me, it was just another game. Myself and Martin Iveson, we were writing about 12 games a year. And I was doing mostly orchestral scores. And so when Toby came in to see me in the studio and told me about Tomb Raider, it was just another game.
Sure.
Just another orchestral score. So no, we had no idea that it was going to go as crazy as it did. And of course, when it did happen, we were all over the moon. And to this day, I feel really lucky to have been a part of that project.
So then dial it back. What are we looking at in these photos? Because this is core design here at the onset?
That's the core design building, top left. That's below that is Toby and a cardboard statue of Lara. In the centre, there's me, of course, in the studio where I wrote the score.
Sitting on your desk?
Yeah.
No, that's just how he composes. This is how I often owl as well when I'm working in my office.
It's a special skill I have. I play the keyboards backwards. Then top right, we've got the sort of core, to coin a phrase, the core team. If I can remember all their names, gosh. Paul from the right. There's Paul, Neil, Heather, Toby, Gavin, and the back guy. I can't remember his name.
Didn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
He was the one who's like a female protagonist. No one will buy that.
And then bottom right, that's inside the core building, I think. Is that the lobby?
Sure.
I'm not sure. But I think it's looking down the corridor, actually. Towards one of the dev rooms.
So, I mean, you said it was just another game for you guys. How many games did you put out at that point? Were you doing extremely well? Was core like a thing already?
Yeah. I joined the company in '93, and they were already making a name for themselves. They had titles like Chuck Rock.
We all remember Chuck Rock.
And, a few others I can't remember. And so, we were churning out games really quickly. There were smaller games in those days, obviously. So, I remember writing scores for games inside of a week.
Jeez.
I would do like between sort of 7 and 12 tunes in a week, and then a few days making sound effects, and that was it. It was out the door. And so you were then on to the next project. So, like I say, on the sort of lead up to Tomb Raider, I was doing certainly a project every month. It was crazy. It was really exciting though. I enjoyed every minute of it.
Of course,
and,
yeah.
It really was a dream job for me. You know, being paid to write music. I can't think of a better job than that.
So with you churning them so fast, when you get to Tomb Raider, the original one, like, are you looking? Is it something where you're looking for inspiration? You're watching how it's coming together, or are you just like, okay, there's temples?
Well, you know, it's funny because a lot of the time, I didn't actually see a lot of the game that I was working on. You know, sometimes we'd just be given a word like, you know, boat or jungle or cave, you know, and so you had to write.
Was the studio run by a 3-year-old? Oreo milk.
You know, there just wasn't really much time to really sort of look at the games, and I don't remember looking at Tomb Raider very much at all. The main inspiration for the music really came from me talking to Toby about Lara Croft and her character. You know, we obviously we were looking for an orchestral score, and Toby and I said, you know, well, let's have English classical music. She's a classy English girl, you know, and she's intelligent and you know, clever, but sassy as well. And of course, you know, beautiful. So the idea was to sort of try and encompass all those sort of buzzwords into the music. And you know, I was a bit bored of sort of listening to game soundtracks that were all action orientated. It was just action, 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 action all the way through. And I didn't want to write that. I wanted to write something that was more descriptive, more filmic, and that told more of a story. So that's really what I tried to do.
So does this small studio feel like the way as fast as you were going through making tunes, does that continue to be the case when Tomb Raider explodes, when everybody cares about it, or did you guys have to suddenly change like your studio philosophy or culture?
Yeah, a lot of things changed after the first one.
You got rid of that guy you can't remember in the back.
Yeah, I'm the little guy at the front, actually, on the left. Yeah, you know, the team changed, and it got bigger. I had a little bit more time to write the music, although I wrote twice as much music, so it worked out to be about the same. You know, the project got bigger, more sound effects to make, you know, the script was bigger, so there's more VO, more actors involved. So yeah, you know, bigger production, so a bigger team.
Sure.
But it also changed people's attitudes. You know, before Tomb Raider, core design was it was like a big family. You know, we all used to go out together religiously every Thursday night. And at lunchtimes we'd take it in turns to go to each other's house. We'd all have a beer and then go back to work again. So, you know, we all hung out together and we were all really, really good mates. And then after Tomb Raider, it sort of split the company because all the people that were working on Tomb Raider were having a really good time and were getting, you know, nice bonuses and sort of living the stardom life, as it were. Lots of sort of press interviews and TV interviews and stuff like that. But the other half of the company that weren't working on that, they sort of became a bit jealous of that,
sure.
I suppose. And so there was a bit of animosity between various groups. So it kind of ruined the company. It took a while. It took a while.
Well, that took a dark turn.
But it did. It slowly broke the company down, bit by bit.
Did that tarnish Tomb Raider at all for you? I mean, did you still hold it in high regard or something, or did you?
For me, no. You know, I worked on the first three, like I said, and you know those sequence of games was good. That was really good fun for me, and the team that I was working with were brilliant people, and I'm still friends with them to this day. And then I left the project to do my own stuff, and I think then, you know, the stories from the people that stayed there just got darker and darker and darker, and the mood at Core Design became a depressing place to work in.
All right. We have our first candidate for like behind the music video games. Because I want to know, and then things took a dark turn. No. So have you ever, like, do you have an announcement to make?
I do have an announcement to make, and I hope this is going to please everybody. But yeah, you can show it now. I'm going to write this.
What does that mean? What is the Tomb Raider suite?
So it's going to be an album based on the original music that I wrote for Tomb Raiders 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to extend some of those pieces into full-length standalone tracks. The whole thing is going to be between sort of 60 and 80 minutes long. We're going to have it played by a famous orchestra and recorded at Abbey Road Studios in London. We are then going to have a live performance at, well, we're not sure yet, but it's going to be one of the biggest venues in London. It's either going to be the Royal Albert Hall or the Hammersmith Apollo. That's going to happen towards the end of this year. So you're all invited to that. Please do that.
Book your tickets now.
And finally, we're going to film the whole process and make it into a documentary film or documentary TV film.
Nice.
So you guys can see how I made it.
Yeah.
So it used to take you about a week to do 7 to 10 songs. So we'll say mid-May it's done. And tour sometime in July, right? That's how fast we're moving?
I'm going to spend a little bit longer.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh, yeah.
just a little bit.
That makes more sense, I guess. That makes more sense. August. Alexa.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
You're good still? Okay, good. Talk to me about what Tomb Raider, what Lara Croft mean to you.
Well, before I talk about Lara, I just want to give a quick shout out to the gameplay. I can't think of any other series with such lasting power that did such sophisticated things with environmental puzzles.
Yeah.
Like I know when people say environmental puzzle, you think, oh yeah, like Zelda did it, but Zelda didn't do it as sophisticated as Tomb Raider did it. And then every other game that came out iterated on it in some way. You had the combat, they had QTs, and went open world. Even with Rise of the Tomb Raider, I just have to say, I've said it on Twitter, but Rise of the Tomb Raider had no fucking business being that good. It was so good. And I remember in 1997 when reviews were coming out for Tomb Raider 2, people were talking about how the series had lasting power even then. And from an EGM article getting into Lara, I pulled this out when I was talking to Meagan about this panel. Lara Croft doesn't have to prove anything to anybody. And that's what I love about her. She's one of those characters that has an identity that's just so solid. Like you have Ezio and he climbs walls and sleeps with people, and then you have Cloud and he has a big sword, and you think of, okay, like those are the characteristics of these people, but Lara Croft her character is so solid. I was playing the other day Lara Croft Go, which is a really awesome mobile game.
Yes.
Everybody clap. The brand manager is sitting right there. Please clap for Lara Croft Go.
Stand up. Come make the exclusive announcement of when it's coming to PlayStation Vita.
No pressure.
Woo! Thanks, Jen. And sometimes when she climbs up a block, she'll like backflip up the block and just very casually do a backflip, and I'm looking at that and I'm just like, oh, that's so Laura. Like you know when you see stuff like that, you know her. When you see Lara Croft, you know the woman you're looking at. You have this badass, smart archaeologist who robs tombs and just does what she wants and doesn't have to prove anything to anybody. But part of what she means to me, if I may talk about myself very briefly to illustrate my point.
I would like that. I would enjoy that.
So I was I think 8 or 9 when the first Tomb Raider came out. But I was definitely like the ugly duckling of my friend group, but I was the smartest. So I would always be like, well, I'm the smart one, it'll be fine. And I played, I'll be fine eventually. And I played Tomb Raider, and I just looked at Lara and I was like, she's incredibly intelligent, and she's also just like unabashedly sexy. Like, you can be both. Like, why do you have to be one or the other? And she was really the first game character to just do that. Like, the reason we have characters like Bayonetta are because we had Lara Croft. Mm-hmm. So she has set the stage for that.
100%.
Yeah.
Do you think you're allowed to cheer? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Okay, the woo was all you wanted to do? No problem. My apologies there. I mean, do you think, I would imagine that's something many of you feel, correct? Like the empowerment that Lara gave you? Yes. Yeah. I mean, that was the thing. I remember playing it on my PC and being like, oh man, why aren't there more people like this? Why aren't there more characters like this in gaming?
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that message is still resonating, Alexa, in 2016?
Yes, I do. Her games, if you've, I think I'm going to use Rise of the Tomb Raider again as a really good example of this, but Lara, in every single game, she's not out for revenge. She's not out to, like, shoot dudes up. She's searching for truth.
Yeah.
And not just, like, the truth of the world or, like, the truth of an artifact or the truth of a place. She's searching for her truth. And I think that search for our truth is it's something that we all do. We all search for our truth, and she's searching for her truth. And I think that's what makes her relatable, and that's what gives her that staying power, that just never-ending search for truth.
Megan, what are we looking at?
Lots of magazine covers.
Oh, okay.
These are not even, this is just a fraction of them, but I thought it helped illustrate what she's talking to.
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, like, Alexa, you know, our job is to commentate on the video game industry. And like you're saying, right, even from the reviews of 2, people talking about lasting staying power and stuff like that. But then she was the crossover character, really, right? That, like, wasn't just in my group. There you go. Like, that my group of nerds we're talking about.
Yeah, and I think her character and then, like, the awesome gameplay is what made platforming games mainstream, which is what made Tomb Raider mainstream. And it got so mainstream, we get a film with Angelina freaking Jolie. Like,
right.
She's not going to go be in, like, a Street Fighter movie or anything. Not to make any comparisons, but...
I like the one from over there.
But she really put them on the map. And I think when, I don't know, like, I have parents that are, you know, in their 50s and don't understand my job and don't really know anything about video games. And whenever I, like, talk to my parents about it, they're like, oh, like that Tomb Raider thing? Like, even they know what it is. So...
That's if Alexa's parents know about it.
I hope they're not watching.
Means it's a real big hit. I hope they are watching. What's up, Koreas? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Do you think it's going to be that way forever?
Yeah.
People always connect to this character?
Oh yeah. I mean, we have a dozen cosplayers here and, like, more out there, and, like, so many people just involving themselves in her world and iterating on it with cosplay or fan fiction or fan art. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cam, you?
Yes.
No pressure.
None.
As you work on this thing what? My notes are out of order.
No.
Cam, sit down and shut up. Jason, how are you? No pressure. Don't screw this up. Not this panel. The panel's off the rails already. But the game. Talk to me a little bit about coming on and working on this.
Yeah, so we had just finished up a game at Crystal, and eidos came to us, and they were like, so we're thinking of giving you guys Tomb Raider to work on, and we were like, oh wow, okay, that's sort of out of left field, but that sounds cool, like, you know, and then we took it on, and then we were like, oh crap.
I was gonna say, how long did it take for him to go? That's really, oh my god, there's a lot of expectations.
Yeah, and then we were like, oh, there's a ton of expectation, and there's a huge franchise and a fan base and a legacy there, and then immediately we were like, okay, well, if we're gonna do it right, and it became this sort of huge focus in the studio to not screw it up, basically.
But how do you start off on that? You know, I don't know if you know this about me. I've never made a game, and nor have I ever went out and taken a franchise that was already popular and tried to, you know, modernize it, make it, you know, my thing. Yeah. So how do you jump in and, like, you know, you need Lara, but what else? I mean, how do you make this thing happen?
Yeah, I mean, originally we started with just really trying to break down. I mean, it's a philosophy we use for all of our games. We just try and take sort of the core of something and really sort of define what the essence of the product is going to be. And so for Tomb Raider, we had this great history, went back through all of the games that had been released up until that point, which was up through Angel of Darkness, and really tried to distill what was the essence of Tomb Raider. And then those became our core pillars for designing the game, and then we started developing mechanics and environments and story based around trying to basically capture the essence that we had sort of distilled from Tomb Raider, and we do that for all the Tomb Raiders. I mean, that's generally our process for everything.
So then, how did you hone in? Because I mean, like, right now we're talking about Crystal, what you guys have done so far with it. This is always one of those things. When I was on the outside, and granted, now I was on the outside a long time ago, so don't throw me under the bus about this. You're all much smarter consumers than I was. You'd be like, oh, Tomb Raider comes from the Tomb Raider people, and that's all. How many games now have you guys done? What were your games?
So I've worked on all the Tomb Raiders since Legend, except for Underworld, because when Underworld was in development, we were at the same time developing the reboot of Tomb Raider. So and I was on that. So I skipped over Underworld, but otherwise I've worked on all of the rest of them.
Gotcha. Okay. So then, when did you start feeling comfortable with the world of Tomb Raider to really mold it the way you want, right? Because you're talking about jumping on, and it was traditional for a while, then I feel like Anniversary came around, and then it was like the reboots started really happening.
Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, we've always been, I think, comfortable with Tomb Raider, and it was, but we knew that each game had its own, we wanted them to each have their own sort of feel and their own flavor. So with Legend, it was really sort of, getting back to Tomb Raider, figuring out what the essence of it was and trying to capture that, but sort of do a modern take on it. With Anniversary, it was all about sort of reimagining and paying tribute to the original Tomb Raider. And then Underworld sort of was continuing the tradition from Legend. And then when we did the reboot, we knew we wanted to do something new. We knew we needed to sort of, to keep Tomb Raider fresh and to keep Lara relevant, we needed to take a new approach to the franchise. And we spent a ton of time, going through a bunch of ideas about what was Tomb Raider going to be, what was going to be the new version of Tomb Raider. And then we went to all sorts of crazy places. For a very long time, the game was, had all sorts of crazy monsters, and I think Meagan has a slide with that in there somewhere, which she put in the wrong spot, probably. Yeah, there we go. So we had some, there was crazy giants and monsters that you would crawl around on, and we had very sort of horror themes.
Wait, you crawl around on them like Shadow of the Colossus?
Yeah, it was at the time, we were playing a lot of Shadow of the Colossus, and we were like, oh my god, it's so
Somebody's
perfect.
like, this might be too on the nose.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we went down this sort of horror track, and we had these sort of crazy, this is the guy we nicknamed Billy Treeman, because he has roots coming out of his back. And we had all these sort of really odd angles. It was a melee fighting game for a while. It went sort of all over the place. And it was really us trying to find the identity for what it was. And then eventually we sort of went, what the hell are we doing? And then we sort of took a step back. It was like right over Christmas break. And then we came back and we were like, okay, what's the new thing going to be that doesn't lose the essence of what Tomb Raider is? And I think that was where we got lost, as we sort of went a little bit off in the woods and had sort of forgotten what the core of Tomb Raider was. And then we were like, okay, well, this is what it is, so we're not really going to deviate too far from it. And then we sort of came up with the idea of survival, and then we wrapped that around Tomb Raider, and it had a really natural fit. And we said, okay, this is what we want to do. And then we just sort of taken it from there, and it's been sort of the thread so far, with the new versions of Tomb Raider. So,
how long were you kicking around off the beaten path ideas and trying to branch or seeing where you were going to go and having giant monsters?
For over a year, I think.
Jeez.
Yeah.
You guys burned so much money.
We did. But we got some really cool. We had Lara on a horse and Lara on a motorcycle. We had Lara on a horse on a motorcycle at one point.
That was a bug, though, right?
Yeah. We had a little girl. You had a companion character at one point. There was all sorts of crazy shit.
God, I have to imagine that'd be so exhilarating and so terrifying. I mean, I feel like you guys have been down on the other side of the barrel so many times, right? Of like, all right, cool, you're staring down the barrel of the gun because you're now taking over Tomb Raider. We're gonna make a Tomb Raider. Yeah. All right, now we're staring down the barrel of the gun because we're doing Anniversary, and it's kind of like a remake, and we all know people love Square remakes. So it's like there's always people get, I don't know if the internet gets angry sometimes. You know what I mean? But you guys were like, you know what? She crawls up a giant monster. Yeah, this is Tomb Raider.
Thank God we didn't do that.
So, round of applause. Did you guys enjoy the rebooted Tomb Raider? Me too. That's the thing. I mean, to echo Alexa, right? Like, you guys came out and it's another Tomb Raider, cool. And I remember that first time we saw that game, and you're like, no way. It won't be like this the whole time. And then you played through that game, you're like, it was like this the whole time.
You touched an Xbox for that game. Huh? You touched an Xbox for that game.
I did. I broke my golden rule. Except for that in State of Decay. And then, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and just also super fantastic. So congratulations, and thank you guys for doing that. Thank you for going off the beaten path to come back to this, to find what, I guess a 2016 or current day Lara Croft should be.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Cam, you son of a bitch, it's your turn now. How the hell you doing?
Pretty good, thanks.
So then, let me see here, character artist.
Yes.
So once they come back with, we're doing this, we're rebooting this, we're making all these different Laras, you're the one who has to make her look the way Lara should look, and so nobody gets mad at you.
Absolutely, yeah. So this actually this slide shows the evolution of Lara. So you'll see the core design ones on the left, everything from Tomb Raider 1 to Angel of Darkness. And at that point, when Angel of Darkness completed and the franchise was given to us, I mean, I felt a lot of pressure. Like, we didn't know exactly at that time who would do Lara. That's the interesting thing. I was hired at Crystal as an animator, and at that point, everyone wanted to be a part of it. So concept artists, we had animators, everybody was modeling a version of Lara. And for myself, I just came off Legacy of Kain Defiance, and I did all the character textures for that. And
I like Legacy Kain.
and before that, actually, the interesting thing was I was working on a Frogger game. So the powers that be figured, you know, Cam, he's got a bipedal frog and he's got a soul-sucking vampire. He's perfect, right? So for some reason, I got the job, and I did the textures for Lara for TR7, and I did the head model. The body was done by Jeff Wilcox, the animator. But anyways, it just carried on from there, and from that point on, I just somehow became the Lara artist. And I didn't work directly on Anniversary, but the Anniversary version of Lara is actually the Legend model, but it was resurfaced, retextured by someone else. So in the mobile version, it was not mine either, but everything else, like all the digital versions, were mine. I wanted to show you these. These are kind of interesting, and these have actually never been seen by anyone outside the office. These were some of the original concept drawings for TR7 that was done by Toby Gard. So we brought Toby into the company at that point when we started TR7, because we wanted that continuity between core design era and our era. We thought that was really important, that we had that thread tying everything together. So he came in, and he was great. He did a whole lot of sketches, and I worked very close with him with models of the Tomb Raider 7, TR7 Lara, and the one on the right actually comes pretty close to what we eventually ended up with. But we experimented with a lot of things. Initially, when we started on TR7, it looked, quite frankly, a lot like the Angel of Darkness one, and we love that model. I still look at it. I think there were design decisions made on that model that were really fantastic, but we wanted to modify it. And truth be told, we actually wanted to sort of personalize it a bit and make it more Crystal Lara, and sort of pull it away from the old core design. So, I mean, it's a balancing act. We really had to weigh what Lara looked like before versus how we wanted to take her in the future. So I think we retained a lot of the features that the Angel of Darkness Lara had, and we rounded her features up, made her a little bit more realistic. Same poly count, roughly around 4,000 polys for it. But the one on the far left is actually a work in progress. But by this point, we're tweaking polygons like just infinitesimally, like just really small amounts that no one notices except me. But anyways, yeah, so that we eventually ended up with one in the middle, and I was quite happy with it.
Was there ever discussion internally to go crazy? Like blow it up and make her look completely different?
Well, she was, the first versions were kind of like Angel of Darkness, but rounder and curvier. And we played a lot with the hair. She had French braids at one time. The ponytail actually came late. She had a braid all the way up to the end, and then I kind of figured, we got to modernize her a little bit. So that was one addition that I made at the end. The ponytail was added, and the ponytail just sort of continued on, and as a sort of a Crystal Dynamics change and a feature. And I like it because it modernized her look, and yeah. So yeah, I think in the end it worked out well.
Gotcha. And where to next? Oh.
Okay, so the next slide shows some of the outfits from Rise. And I just wanted to put this one in there to contrast the amount of work and the amount of detail that we're able to achieve now with Lara versus what, TR7, and, if you go all the way back to TR1, I mean, TR1, Lara had 400 some odd polys, and I think, Lara's eyeball is like 1,000 or something like that. So, I mean, really, there's no way you can compare the two. The amount of technology that goes into a model now is just mind-boggling, and that it goes with our sort of mandate to make Lara as realistic as possible. So ever since the reboot, we've really tried to make Lara accessible, more accessible than before. She's no longer the Teflon character that she was before, where she's basically you can't hurt her. So now, I mean, we've made her a lot more human. She feels like a real person. Everything from the animations to the model to the materials to the contextual effects on her. I mean, she gets dirty whenever she walks through mud.
Is that why, like, you put the different outfits in it this time around?
Well, the different outfits kind of show like our ability now to sort of push design a little bit. And also the material system is so powerful that we're able to achieve any kind of look that we want. So, and also, these Laras are dressed a lot more appropriately now for action than she ever was
raiding
before.
a tomb, being in the snow, being in the desert.
So this is kind of like the new way we approach these designs, and each one takes well over a month to do. Like they are very time intensive, and they take several artists to do this amount of costumes for her. But you know what's really amazing though, when I come here and I look at all the cosplayers, I have to admit, it makes me very happy.
I'm sure.
Are you ready for the cuteness?
I'm sorry?
Are you ready for the cuteness? Cuteness slide?
Oh yeah. Okay. So here's one, and no one has seen this one either. There's a scene in the flashback in Rise where you see a young Lara. Actually, the script called for the silhouette of Lara, and she would be pretty small on screen. And, this task was just too good for me to pass up. So I spent a couple of days just crunched hard, and I turned Lara into a child version, and I also modeled the body. And the hair, I didn't have time to do the hair, so I grabbed it off Lara Croft 2 Temple of Osiris hairs and modified that one a little bit. But you know what? They're all Lara, so it doesn't matter. But anyways, and I gave her facial blend shapes as well. So it's there. I hope it actually makes an appearance in a game one day, but we'll never know.
I'm sure it will.
And just one more slide here. It's just to show some of the detail again. Like I said, some of the most important things that we show for Lara is that she fits into the environment. There's snow on her. She gets dirty, she gets bloody, and our engine nowadays is so powerful. Our material system is so powerful. We're able to achieve all these things, and contrast that to just where we were back at TR7. I think we've come such a long way. I'm just amazed, and I've been there for every step, and I'm still amazed. But anyways,
I guess this is a Jason and Cam question because I feel like it's related. But which team is the one getting in trouble? Because I feel somebody's got to be like, she should go through snow and it should stick to her, and she should get in mud and mud should be all over her. And one team's got to be like, well, Jesus fucking Christ, guys, we got to put this game out at some point. I can't animate all this stuff and do all this stuff, or I can't artistically design all this.
No, we all kind of felt that she had to fit into the environment, but yeah, Brian Horton was really a proponent of that. So we just had to do it for every single outfit. Every outfit actually undergoes that same transformation. So it was a lot of work, a lot of lost sleep there.
You don't sound bitter about it at all. You don't sound like a man beaten down by years on this game.
No, this is a great project. I don't have any complaints.
So then, Megan.
Yes.
What's the sum of all these parts when we talk about all these different things?
Well, I'm super excited to announce something that I've been personally working on, and one of the things that has helped me had an even greater understanding and passion for this franchise. I thought I knew, as a longtime fan, basically everything about Tomb Raider, and it's amazing how much I didn't know. But we're super excited to announce that there's going to be an official 20 years of Tomb Raider book. This is going to be like the most... It's going to be basically the most comprehensive look at the entire franchise that's out there. And so this is covering everything from the core design games, Crystal Dynamics games, the comics movies, our amazing community, pop culture influences. I've talked to over 150 contributors, whether it is interviews or getting exclusive assets. I think I asked over 1,000 questions in these interviews, and I'm currently at 140,000 words, and they're going to cut me off soon. I just stopped apologizing for over my page count. I was like, I'm just going to give it to you. Like, there we go. But I've talked to everybody, including Jeremy Heath-Smith, who founded Core Design, Heather Gibson, Gavin Rumery, Andrew Sandham. Richard Morton was a huge help to me. He was one of the people that worked at Core Design, and I think Tomb Raider fans will be super excited about this. We have a section in the book called The Games That Never Were, and I've got a bunch of info that he gave me about the Core Design Anniversary Edition. I have stuff from Murdy, who is the writer on Angel of Darkness, and he talks about the two remaining games in the Angel of Darkness trilogy. We talked to composers, some of the models, voice actresses, people from the comics like Andy Park and Adam Hughes, people associated with the movies, and so on. So it's a really comprehensive look. One of the really cool things that we found is we found the producer, Elliot Blake, for the Tomb Raider revisioned animated series that came out about 10 years ago, and they got us all of the original art that hasn't been seen online necessarily. So like this is Lara Croft by Jim Lee, and Lara Croft by Peter Chung, and so on, and we've got all of that sort of stuff in the book.
No, I love Jim Lee. He's a personal friend, but that's just Batman. He just he's like, Batgirl, ship it off.
It's a gold color scheme. It's pretty cool. I like it. So we've got that. Here's a peek at some of the stuff that we found for Angel of Darkness. It's early looks at Curtis Trent, some characters that were cut. I know this one's going to be exciting. Core Design Anniversary Edition, some looks at the game. This is all stuff that's going to be in the book. This is one I hope you guys will enjoy. You can go and watch this afterwards. We originally wanted to show it during the panel, but it's 7 minutes long. So there's this video that was created called Tomb Raider: The Trilogy. It's a short film. It was created for the release of Tomb Raider 3. It was only shown at the launch of Tomb Raider 3. There's like one person that has it online, and it's a pretty low-res copy, but we found the producer on it. Her name is Janie, and she found the original tapes, and so we had it digitized, and as soon as this panel is done, we put it up on our Tomb Raider account, so you can watch this like 7-minute detective noir sort of styled Tomb Raider live action video. It's super cool. So we found things like this while writing the book, which was really fun. And the thing that I'm so excited about is we have a huge section dedicated to fans, because our fans are amazing. They are the lifeblood of this franchise. I think that we don't, yeah, seriously. There comes a time where the game is like, the franchise is no longer like Crystal Dynamics or Cores or Square Enix or any of them, eidos, any of them. Like, Lara Croft and Tomb Raider belongs to the fans. You guys have made it what it is. And so the book has sections on our fan sites, on fan fiction writers, on fan films, a huge section dedicated to our level editors. If any of you guys want to play the classic games, there's over 2,000 custom levels online, and you can play the classic Tomb Raider games like Original Adventures. This is one I love to show. So this is our fans growing up with Tomb Raider. These are two of our fan artists that are featured, and you can see their art and how it's changed over the years, because people have grown with Tomb Raider. Their skills have evolved. I'm going to embarrass Annie right now. This is Annie right now. She's one of the original Lara lookalikes from 1999. She's been dressing up as Lara. Stand up for a second, Annie. Like 1999 versus 2015. So our community has been active for so long and driving for so long. Here's some of my other favorite Lara cosplayers. I mean, like, we have so many amazingly talented cosplayers out there. I adore them all. Isaac Cabrera on the bottom, he goes by Tom Brader. You've probably seen him online. He's very popular right now. And I just threw this one in because this is what happens when one of your cosplayers works at a helicopter company. She's just like, I'm going to go up into the Alps today. We're going to take some photos. I'm like, okay. We've also got collectors. Rodri, he's got the Guinness record for the largest Tomb Raider collection in the world. Toby's got a really incredible collection. I'm super jealous of some of his stuff, including original art. Yeah, that's, like, our fans are incredible. And I'm making Greg do this. So we also have a section in the book called Dear Lara, and we have these amazing letters that fans have written. And I told him I want him to read one, because if I read it, I will just break out crying. Like, every time someone sent me one, I would just be sitting at my desk just, oh, this is... So Lara is more than just a character, and I believe this. Like, as a 12-year-old who was inspired by Lara Croft, who, like, wanted to always push myself to be more adventurous and to fight for what was right and so on. Like, Lara is more than just a character, so... Let's read this. This is from one of our amazing community members and cosplayers. Her name is Brianna Lamb.
Dear Lara, in a time when there wasn't a lot of inspiration out there for young girls, you came along and gave us something to aspire to. While the boys had Indiana Jones, James Bond, and a plethora of fun, hardcore adventurers, we girls were usually relegated to being the damsels stuck in the proverbial castle. Then you came along, unapologetically adventurous and full of confidence. I grew excitedly playing your games, even fashioning my outfits to look like yours, and kept running to my mom to French braid my hair. I couldn't help but love you, for lack of a better phrase, and want to be you. As I grew older, I tried taking on your devil-may-care attitude by watching too many action/sci-fi movies, being in paramilitary programs, CAP, JR, ROTC, going four-wheeling, shooting at gun ranges, taking multiple forms of martial arts, fencing, almost getting my pilot's license, training in survival, search and rescue, and running way too many obstacle courses. If it was Lara Croft worthy, I'd try it. Fast forward a few years to the day that would change my life forever. A normal morning drive to work ended in a twisted heap of metal and bone. As I laid in the hospital with my hip shattered, wondering if I was ever going to walk again, so much support started flowing in from fellow Tomb Raider fans and those involved with your adventures. That I was a survivor and more than my scars. Suddenly, being like you went from something that I loved daydreaming about as a kid to a deeply personal connection. Seeing your strength not only through old games, but the new, where you never gave up, even when an extreme pain resonated with me. It helped me push through the physical therapy. When I'd start collapsing at therapy from the strain, friends would shout, "Keep going, you're a survivor, you're Lara Croft." And now, I can walk again. In fact, I'm going to be training on aerial skills and parkour soon. You taught me to never give up, to go toe-to-toe with the boys, to seek out adventure for myself and enjoy life to the fullest. Thank you, Lara. Cheers. Brianna Lamb, United States. It's heavy. It's heavy stuff from a video game character who we all love. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together one more time for your panel of Lara Croft experts.